Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto. So let's just dive in. And guys, I have a ton of things to go over. I know today we made a video, it was earlier in the day, it was around noon, where I was talking a little bit about what happened today with Gary Gensler. There's a few other videos that have surfaced, and I do really want to go over them because there were some mic drop moments and there were some big announcements. And I do think that everyone out there that is an XRP holder should be holding out until the end of this video, because this video could ultimately not only show you a little bit of what's to come, but also provide you with something very incredible. And that insight is the fact that we might be seeing the SEC fully restructured. This is going to be very interesting. So first off, I want to start off with this article here. So we do see Coinbase CEO meets with UK Economic Secretary to discuss crypto innovation. Remember what I said, right? When we looked at the initial viewpoints of the UK and what they were trying to do, they wanted to become a crypto hub. Now, if Coinbase leaves the US and moves to the UK, it is game over. Why? Because Coinbase currently right now is the largest US-based exchange. Without Coinbase right now, I highly doubt that we have any sort of sustainable, but also, I will say, stable US exchange. We are starting to see innovation move extremely fast outside of the US. And we do see Coinbase gives 9 recommendations to turbocharge technological and financial innovation in the UK. The UK is moving fast on sensible crypto regulation to both drive economic growth and consumer protection, excited to keep investing in the UK. That's why Brian will be discussing Coinbase's vision for how the UK can turbocharge the sector and cement its place as an innovation hub for the Web3 economy. And here are those recommendations. Again, as we look at currently the US, we are falling drastically behind. And it's not even a joke at this point. Like, I know in the past we've talked about this, but now more than ever, there's a lot of issues. And I want to lead to this. UK set to accelerate crypto sector and become Web3 innovation hub. This happened literally all yesterday. I want to say today because I'm recording this currently around like 10 p.m. But as we look at what happened in the past, and as we looked at just recently what happened today with that meeting with Gary Gensler, like everything that we know of around crypto and outside of crypto as well is moving extremely fast around de-dollarization, inflation, the economy itself. But crypto has so much to offer. It can ultimately restructure and create an efficient financial system. Now, with that, I do want to go over here. Crypto migration. European and Asian regulators welcome crypto innovation while the US cracks down. Like, this is what's happening right now. Like, as a US-based investor myself, I can't tell you guys just how frustrated I am with the fact that we don't, after 2.5 years now, we still don't have any clear regulations. We have this idea of, oh, well, just come in and register. That's what we heard in the meeting today as well. It was a consistent nail in the coffin on just come in and register. Just come in and register. Like, we need to have that statement die. Because guess what? The SEC, there is no come in and register. It's come in so that we can completely screw you over, go after your business, basically rug pull you and shake you down for money. That's all the SEC has been doing, is shaking these companies, these individuals, and projects down for money, going after easy paydays because there's no clear guidelines. There's nothing in place. Now, I want to take you guys to this video here. So we do see from Johnny Dean, he's saying the number one thing that I took away from this hearing that should, and excuse my language, absolutely scare the living shit out of everyone involved in crypto. This is a 2-minute long video. Listen closely to this because this is very serious.
The other thing, the number one thing that I took away from this hearing on specific questions that should absolutely scare the living shit out of everyone involved in crypto is the following. It was an open-ended question by Maxine Waters, where she just playing the partisan hack that she played in today's hearing, where she said questions like, do you have authority to regulate the crypto market? And of course he said yes. But she said, I want you to follow up your answer about what is a crypto. And this is what he said. He said, if there's a website, that's indication. If it is software that needs to be upgraded, that is indication of a security. If there are lawyers who have been hired to come in to meet with us, that is an indication of a security, because there's a small group of entrepreneurs involved. Just think about that for a second. The man has been saying for 2 years, come in and talk to us, come in and talk to us. Now he's saying, if you come in and talk to him and you hired lawyers to do it, that indicates that you have a security.
And how ridiculous is that statement? Like, that statement alone should give you enough information on just how ridiculous of an agency the SEC is.
He literally said that today at the hearing. And then he also threw out, if there's Twitter accounts. So think about that. Website, Twitter accounts, is upgrade, software being upgraded. So what's that tell you about what his thoughts are of Ethereum? He won't answer it, people, but you know clearly, meeting his definition, Bitcoin would be implicated. I'm not saying he's saying that. I'm just telling you, if you listen to what he said, wasn't there a Bitcoin Taproot software upgrade? Doesn't Bitcoin get upgraded? Ethereum upgrade, the Shanghai that just happened, all of those things indicate what we warned at Crypto Law a year and a half ago. Every single token is in danger with this guy.
And this is exactly what we have been preaching for 2 years. The XRP community has been ahead of the game. I remember initially on when Gary Gensler actually got into this position, there was many out there parading around saying, Gary Gensler is going to save crypto. He's going to save XRP. Man, were they wrong, right? They thought he was a white knight. No, he was just a cover-up. He was preaching at his MIT meetings, getting his paydays, making $100 million a year being a professor, which, hello? Who's making that much money being a professor? Let's be honest. Yeah, he's sitting there preaching to the choir around how great crypto is and XRP, you can do this. And then all of a sudden, fast forward, and he's in the SEC chairman position, and now he's going after everything. Crypto's this, crypto's that. Now he's saying that if you come in with lawyers, boom, you're a security. If you have a Twitter account, boom, security. A website, boom, security. Like, what the hell is going on here? If you upgrade it, boom, a security. But this doesn't apply to anything outside of crypto, right? Because there's so many projects, companies, etc. that have this, yet they're not securities. Like, what is going on here? And that's exactly why I want to take you guys over here to a few videos that Tom Member posted. Yes, some of these will most likely be from the video from earlier today, but I want to go over a few things. So we do see here, Gary Gensler is an incompetent cop on the beat. He's actively putting everyday Americans in harm's way and pushing American firms into the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. Listen closely to this. This is about 39 seconds long.
For the digital asset industry to access financial products and services in the United States than it was, say, 2 years ago?
Sir, I'm not running one of those businesses. If they came into compliance, I think
Reclaiming my time. The answer, sir, is yes. Do you think you and the SEC have had a role to play in that?
I think we have a role to protect the American investor and the capital markets and the
Reclaiming my time, sir. You have played an obvious role in that.
So, incredible response. No, yes, no answers. It's just, let's drag this on as long as possible. Let's avoid the question, blah, 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 all this nonsense. And then over here as well, he finalized 0 rules for crypto companies to comply with, yet he abuses the SEC's enforcement powers against them. This is about a minute long.
During your tenure at the SEC, how many rules has the SEC finalized that actually accommodate the existing regulatory framework and are specifically to the digital asset industry so the crypto market can come into compliance?
It's our rule books that are on the books for years, so we have not finalized any new rule specifically with regard to crypto. We've proposed some things in best execution. We've also
Sir, reclaiming my time, the answer is 0. And how many enforcement actions has the SEC levied against digital asset companies during your tenure, sir?
I think it's probably 40 or 50.
The answer, sir, is about 55. During
So he admits 0 rules, no rules. They finalized 0 rules at all. And then over here, he was the cop on the beat when the biggest crypto frauds collapsed, doing nothing to stop these criminals before they defrauded Americans. Listen closely.
My understanding is that the biggest crypto failure in history is probably FTX at $9 billion. Were you the chairman of the SEC when FTX collapsed?
Yes.
And how many times did you meet with FTX prior to their collapse?
I think my public record shows 2.
You met it with FTX at least twice. And arguably, the second biggest crypto failure in history was Terra Luna. Who was the chairman of the SEC when Terra Luna collapsed, sir?
We had brought...
You were, sir, reclaiming my time.
So just, I personally love Tom Emmer in these debates because it almost seems as though he's just as mad as we are. Because like, this is exactly how frustrating it is to deal with Gary Gensler. And then down here, he inappropriately regulates through public statements. Listen closely.
My time, you were. There are 5 members on the commission. Do you believe your speeches and interviews are to serve as the official position of the SEC?
I can only speak for myself when I'm speaking.
Again, sir, in a statement on the SEC website, you are quoted saying the Kraken staking as a service enforcement action should make clear to the marketplace that staking as a service providers must register. But again, you haven't provided any rules for how that can be done. I must remind you, your public statements are not regulations. It's not responsible to expect the American people to assume your statements are a substitute for rules. My time.
And then this one as well, often contradicting himself, which only instills further chaos in the marketplaces. Listen closely.
Are not regulations. It's not responsible to expect the American people to assume your statements are a substitute for rules. Do you agree with this statement regarding the digital asset industry? The SEC needs additional congressional authorities to prevent transactions, products, and platforms from falling between the regulatory cracks.
I think that it's a largely non-compliant field. And we
Sir,
could use
again,
additional
I asked you to
resources.
comply with my questions, and I'm asking you if you agree with that quote. And I'm going to tell you, I'm quoting you from an August 3rd, 2021 article where you, and I believe you told Congressman Hill earlier that you need congressional authority to regulate stablecoins, and stablecoins happen to be a significant percentage of the crypto market. So the question is, when were you telling the truth? To Mr. Hill or to me? Your public statements.
And exactly, like this is what's jumping through hoops. I mean, trying to avoid every single question, trying to avoid everything, not giving a single ounce of transparency. And then last but not least, about 1:44, absolutely on fire. And he's pushing innovation into the hands of a communist country, the United States' #1 adversary.
Does it concern you, by the way, that your approach to the digital asset industry is actually driving this industry out of the United States?
We're trying to drive it to compliance, and if they're not complying with the laws, then they shouldn't be offering their products.
Reclaiming my
to
time.
investors.
Madam Chair, I would like to enter into the record this Wall Street Journal article from April 14th, 2023, detailing China's ploy to open its banking system to crypto firms in an effort to seize an opportunity created by our hostile regulatory environment, which, Mr. Chair, you're a big part of.
Without
Look,
objection.
Chair Gensler, FTX was domiciled abroad and so is Binance, yet American consumers still had access to both. You can't really think that pushing this industry abroad is going to protect American consumers when it hasn't several times in the past on your watch. You say the crypto market is rife with non-compliance. However, existing SEC rules make no sense for blockchain-based companies, and following them would actually kill these businesses. Your regulatory style lacks flexibility and nuance, and as a result, you've been an incompetent cop on the beat, doing nothing to protect everyday Americans and pushing American firms into the hands of the CCP. Your intention to work against SEC mission and put American investors in harm's way has been made very apparent, sir. It's been a year and a half since you've appeared before this committee. You need to answer to Congress about the issues that you've had with the SEC staff union, the work environment you've cultivated at the SEC that's led to hemorrhaging of senior staff, the intellectual inconsistency of your regulatory treatment towards Bitcoin spot ETFs, and your politicization of capital formation opportunities through your treatment of certain SPACs. And that's just to name a few. Thank you.
And he hammered it home with, I'm telling you, like right now, as we look at what's happening, we are finally starting to see the SEC be held accountable and Gary Gensler. But the problem with all of this is that I strongly believe that, one, listen, they had a very long time to truly go after this, right? Like, how long has it been? What, 1.5 years since the last meeting? Like, that's sad. We should have been, going after Gary Gensler for the last 2.5 years, meeting after meeting, discussing these problems, solving these issues. Like, we shouldn't have waited this long to have Gary Gensler on the hot seat, talking to him, discussing, what's happening, asking him the hard-hitting questions. In my opinion, I think that we waited way too long to actually have this meeting, but I still love to see this. And also, we did see a U.S. Congressman, Mr. Davidson himself, introduce a bill to restructure the SEC and fire Gary Gensler.
Chairman Gensler, your record of failures to protect investors and abuses of power make it clear that we need to restructure the Securities and Exchange Commission. The failures are many, but let me cite some of the abuses. You average more than 2 rules proposals a month. You provide inappropriately short comment periods. You have unworkable and unlawful ESG disclosure mandates on the market. You have essentially a Hotel California rule for crypto where you can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. You have endless discovery with no resolution and no clarity for the captives in the market. You have unworkable proposals for overhauling equity market structure, a de facto ban on crypto through proposed custody rule. You have high staff turnover, unhappy people leaving your office, and unhappy companies and capital leaving our country. To correct a long series of abuses, I'm introducing legislation that removes the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission and replaces the role with an executive director that reports to the board where all authority would reside. Former chairs of the SEC will be ineligible under my proposed bill. And this isn't just my take. It resonates across the political spectrum. The American people want democratic access to capital, retail investor participation. You can't just exclude retail investors from markets and claim it's for their own good. Our markets need to function and flourish, and I yield back.
Absolutely incredible. And this is exactly what we need to do. We need to fire the chairman. We need to restructure the SEC, and we need to make sure that taxpayers are not held accountable to fund this absolute nonsense of a circus show that we call the SEC, and make sure that they are actually putting the time and effort and the work in to make sure that we have proper regulations and that crypto can not only thrive within the US, but also be accepted, adopted, and utilized to its full extent. Again, as we look at what's been happening around this entire space, it truly is a game of charades. And not only that, but we also, at the end of the day, know that the SEC has been built upon corruption. This video here really kind of puts everything into perspective on just how corrupt the SEC is. And this is going to be the last video that I play in this video before I shut out the lights, but listen closely to this video.
I'm gonna move on to something else. You said earlier in another line of questioning that the players in the digital asset space don't have a choice, that they have to comply with the rules. But once again, Congress has never given you a framework for regulating digital assets. Where are you pulling that one from?
With all respect, sir, we disagree on this.
Oh, I can see we disagree a lot, Chairman, because we're not giving you authority. You're just taking it. I think that's part of the issue right now.
With all respect, Congress painted with a broad brush when they set up the SEC, and I quote Thurgood Marshall, which is one of the greatest.
Congress painted with a broad brush in 1933 and 1934, not in 2023. We've not touched that. It's a new industry. One last quick question, because I'm concerned about your agency. you have some of the highest turnover amongst the agencies. Do you think you have the manpower to actually regulate digital assets, considering all the other rulemaking you're engaged in?
We actually have 6 to 7% turnover, which is consistent with the other federal financial
I would disagree.
regulations.
OPM would say otherwise, Chairman Gensler. Hey, real quick, last question. I think it might have came up. You were Hillary Clinton's CFO in the campaign, right?
It's part of my history.
Were you? Yes or no?
In 2016.
Did you facilitate the payment for the Steele dossier since you were CFO of the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Sir,
Yes or no?
sir,
Yes or no?
that was not.
You're under oath, Chairman Gensler. Yes or
I
no?
know. I was not something I was aware of.
I yield back the rest of my time. Thank you, Chairman.
Boom,
Once time
shakalaka.
expired.
And that right there is Gary Gensler lying under oath. Because how are you not aware of a $1 million CFO? How? This right here proves it all. It proves not only how corrupt the SEC agency is, it also shows us the weaknesses within the SEC. We need a full restructure. We need to have Gary Gensler fired and held accountable. We need to have Bill Hinman and Jay Clayton held accountable. For the last 2.5 years, and even previously beforehand, these individuals that were tied to the SEC, Bill Hinman, Jay Clayton, and even Gary Gensler now, all three of these individuals need to 100% be held accountable, because we forget about Bill Hinman, we forget about Jay Clayton, but they're all part of the bigger picture as well. And this is a big mic drop moment because, one, he is lying under oath. Two, it also proves just how corrupt he is, but also it proves that, one, we don't have clear regulations. We don't have anything. Just like he mentioned in this video, yeah, they painted with a broad brush back in 1930, not in 2023. So with that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. Us, it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are on this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.